Hey friends, and welcome to the Girl Means Business podcast. I'm your host, Kendra Swalls, a photographer and educator on a mission to help you find your passion, power, and purpose through entrepreneurship. So let's jump right into today's episode because this girl means business. Hey guys, and welcome back to the Girl Means Business podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. As you are listening to this, I am on my way back from a much needed vacation to the mountains. The mountains are my happy place. It is where I go to escape, to cool off from the Texas heat every summer. And it is one of my most favorite places. It just always makes me feel calm and relaxed and grounded and back to nature and back to the things that matter. I always come back feeling super inspired. So I am really excited to see what comes from this trip as I'm recording this before we get ready to leave. But I'm always super excited to see what new ideas and things are sparked from that little break in time away. I hope you are all enjoying your summer. We're about halfway through the summer, and it's been a really fun, exciting summer. I hope you're enjoying your summer as well. Okay, this week's episode is going to be a quick tip episode. We're just going to talk very quickly about some of the changes that Instagram has been putting out recently. There were two big interviews, announcements that people from high up inside of Instagram have made in the past couple of weeks. And I want to give a little bit of insight and light into what it means for you and your business and your Instagram account, and how it can be a good thing for you. So let's start with the first one, which is that there's these little videos and posts going around talking about hashtags. Now, hashtags are always a question I get a lot from my clients and from people online saying, like, how do I find hashtags? Which ones should I be using? How many should I be using? Do they go in the caption? Do they go in the comment? Do I put them in stories? Do I not? There's so many questions around hashtags. And for the longest time, the kind of rule of thumb was use all 30 hashtags that you are given space for. You're allowed to have 30 per post. And the idea behind that was that the more you use, the more chances you have of being discovered. It's kind of like buying raffle tickets. The more tickets you buy, the more likely you are for your number to be drawn. However, recently, Instagram has come out and said in an interview that the algorithm prefers a smaller number of hashtags per post. It said averaging between 8 and 15. And the reason behind this is that they want the algorithm to create a persona for your account. So think of it like an ideal client avatar. You've heard me talk on the podcast before about having this ideal client avatar for your business and how it can help you get really laser focused on who you're talking to, who you're targeting, what your message should be, what are the pain points of that ideal client that you have. There's so much value that comes from having that persona in your business. So what Instagram has said is that they want the algorithm to create a persona similar to your ideal client persona for your account. And the benefit of that is you're going to be shown to more people who fit that persona. So an example, if I'm using a hashtag that is very generic, maybe something to do with entrepreneurs or business owners, small business owners, that's a very large pot of people that hashtag is targeting. But if my persona for my brand, for my Instagram account is more targeting women entrepreneurs, mompreneurs, mom business owners, if I start using those more specific, specialized hashtags, and Instagram is able to create this persona of who my account is targeting, who my account is created for, then they're more likely to show my account and my content to those people. So they're basically saying they want you to get very specific in your hashtags and laser focus in on one group or one persona for your brand. All right, so Instagram has said they want us to focus on a smaller number of hashtags. So let's talk about what that looks like as far as when it comes to finding and using the right hashtags. So here is my sort of strategy behind hashtag use. I like to have a handful of hashtags that are kind of my go-to tags. So these are ones that are going to be very specific to my niche, that are very specific, either maybe a hashtag that goes with my brand. So I might do hashtag girl means business or hashtag this girl means business, or specific to a piece of content. So you can have like your content pillars. So an example would be podcast. If I have a new podcast episode every Wednesday, then I might have specific podcast hashtags I'm always going to associate with those content pieces. So what Instagram is saying is have those sort of standard go-to hashtags. And you can have one or two, maybe even three that you use every single time that are your brand specific hashtags or your niche specific hashtags. The other hashtags need to be very specific to the content and your niche. So again, I know that sounds kind of like I'm saying the same thing, but if I'm creating a list of, let's say, 15 hashtags to add to a post, I might have my 2 or 3 that I use every single time. Hashtag girl means business, hashtag, women of podcasting. Then I'm going to have the next 12 to 13 that are specific to the content of that piece. So if I am talking about Instagram, then I might use Instagram specific hashtags, but they're all going to be geared towards, again, that ideal audience, that target persona that we're trying to create. So moms, women in business, moms in business, women in podcasting, those kinds of things. So they're saying stop using all these kind of bigger, larger, generalized hashtags and focus in on the ones that are going to be very specific to your brand. Now, for the past 2 weeks, I've kind of been testing this out, and I have noticed a little bit of a boost in engagement and a boost in views and things like that. So the idea behind it is that you're going to be using hashtags that are more specific. So you're going to have a smaller audience to compete with when you're using those hashtags, which will help boost it. And again, Instagram is going to help show you to the people who specifically fit your persona. So what I've noticed over the past 2 weeks of testing this myself is that I have seen a boost in engagement. In fact, when I go into my insights for my post, now this is not pertaining to Reels, but when I go into my post for like my feed post, my static post, and I look at my insights, on average, before this experiment or before starting this new hashtag strategy, I was getting usually, I would say 20 to 25% of my views were coming from my hashtags. And that typically you can see that when you hit post insights and you scroll up, it'll show you how many of people found you because of hashtags. And then it will tell you what percentage of people were not following you prior to viewing this content. So that was usually around 25% on average. In the last 2 weeks, when I look at those insights, I'm getting closer to 40 to 45%, which is a nice little boost. I mean, that's a great boost. That means almost half of the people viewing my content each time are not people who already follow me. So they're finding me from other sources, typically finding me from hashtags. Now, that could also be in part to the fact that I'm becoming very much more aware of which hashtags work for my account. And that's taken lots and lots of time. It's also because I use a new tool called Hashtag Slayer, which I will link in the show notes as well. And that has helped me to find and utilize hashtags that are going to be best optimized for my niche and my brand. So that's kind of the first big announcement from Instagram that's been going around. Now, again, keep in mind, if you're listening to this at a later date, this could all change. You know, we know how social media works. And Instagram could come out 3, 6, a year from now and say, nope, we're back to using all 30, or don't use hashtags at all, or only use one. We don't know. But for right now, at the time that I'm recording this, this is the strategy that seems to be working, that Instagram is telling us. And when Instagram tells us something, we like to listen. Instagram is telling us right now that this is what is the best option for posting and using hashtags. Again, this could all change in the blink of an eye, so just take it for what it is. Try it for yourself. See if you notice a difference. Again, there's no harm in trying things on social media. That's the beauty of social media and of running your own business. You can try things, and if they work, great. If they don't, go back to what you were doing or try something new. There's no harm in giving it a week or 2 or 3 or a month and saying, I'm going to try this. Let's see what happens, and then going from there. All right, let's get to the second announcement. Now, the head of Instagram has come out and said that Instagram is now focused on 4 major areas, that they are no longer going to be, quote unquote, a photo sharing app. Now, what that means is you can still share photos 1,000,000%, okay? They're not taking away the option for you to post photo content. So if you're a photographer or a visual brand, do not freak out. You can still post that content. What they're saying is that they are putting an emphasis on 4 types of content: creators, which are like creator accounts, video content, shopping, and messaging. So let's kind of break that down and let me tell you what that means for you. 1, if you already have a business Instagram account, consider changing it to a creator account. It doesn't really change anything other than sometimes you get access to different features in your reels or in your stickers, things like that. But they are really putting a lot of emphasis on creator accounts and creators who are creating content on Instagram on a regular basis. So again, it doesn't change anything. You can always go back to a business account if you decide it's not a good fit for you. I switched mine from a business to a creator and honestly have seen no real change in the features I use on a regular basis, other than it now says I'm a creator account when you go into my account settings. For whatever reason, Instagram likes those accounts. Number 2, video. This is the big one, guys. If you've looked at the trend that Facebook and TikTok are already jumping on, and Instagram started with Reels, video is taking over. They're, with between lives, TikTok, Reels, rooms where you can go in and have live chats, IGTV. All of these platforms want you to create video content. Videos are a form of content that people spend more time viewing, and the goal of every social media platform, it doesn't matter which one you're using, they all want you to spend more time on the platform. So what are you going to spend more time doing on Instagram? Scrolling past photos or scrolling through watching 7, 15, 30-second videos one after the other? I can tell you from personal experience, I've gotten sucked into those reels where you just scroll through, kind of like watching TikTok videos, and next thing I know, half an hour has gone by. That doesn't happen when I'm scrolling through static images in my feed. I get bored, I move on. Or when I'm watching stories. Now, I will get sucked into stories. Some of them usually involve kind of these short form videos. So video is a huge, huge piece of what Instagram is pushing. They've seen the success of TikTok. They've seen the success of videos on other platforms, and they want to promote video. So if you're not already utilizing Reels, I highly suggest you look into it. Go check out the Reels Masterclass I have available for you for free. It's a recorded Reels Masterclass video. I will link to it down in the show notes so you can go and grab that video and start learning about how to use Instagram Reels for your business. If you are not putting out stories with video content where it's you showing what you're doing behind the scenes, you talking, again, video does not mean it has to be your face the entire time. It just means you need to be putting out visual video content that people are going to take time to consume. If you're a photographer, this is a perfect example. If you're a photographer and you're thinking, I don't know that I feel comfortable creating videos of myself yet. I don't know that I feel comfortable creating reels. I want you to think of it more like a slideshow. Take some of your behind the scenes videos of you doing a photo shoot and add in the final result and make that a reel. Make that a video post you put onto your feed. Make it a story or an IGTV and see if you don't notice some success with that. Because I scroll through several where I see a behind the scenes of someone doing a photo shoot and at the end they show like what the final product was, the final image. And I get sucked in every time. It's 5 to 7, maybe 10 seconds long. Put some music behind it and it's fabulous. And Instagram Reels makes it so easy to do that. The other type I really love is like where I'll watch somebody, showcase how to use a product. They're just showing their hands, but it's incredible. It's fun to watch. Or someone doing a painting of some kind, or putting together a piece of jewelry. Anything that you can create that's going to give a little bit about what you do, what you offer, who you are, and you can put it into a reel. You don't have to dance. You don't have to point. You don't have to be silly and goofy. That's not who you are. Don't do those things. Not every successful video content has to be that. It can be whatever works for you and your brand. But if Instagram is saying, we want to push video, we are rewarding people and accounts who use video in their content, then you need to be using it. You need to be putting it into your content plan. All right, the next one is shopping. So this is a new thing that I've seen, not too new, but when you go into your account, sometimes it'll give you like, hey, new shopping feature, link a shopping account. So if you are someone who sells a physical product, you need to be using the shop feature on Instagram. It's a great way. It allows you to link products straight into your Instagram content. So you could have an Instagram post that someone can tap on. It will show your products and it will take them right to like your Shopify account to purchase that product. You can do the same thing in stories. I'm not sure about Reels. I don't think they're tappable with links and mentions and things like that. But any other features, the posts and the stories, having that shopping link is going to be really helpful. Instagram wants to reward people for using these features. So please, if you are selling any kind of physical product or a product that you can put into a Shopify account and link to, it's going to be a great feature you can start utilizing. And then the fourth one was messaging. This has been something that I have really loved lately, especially with the onset of Clubhouse at the beginning of the year. I would get into people's DMs and really make connections. And that's how I've made some incredible friends and incredible business connections through the DMs. So what Instagram really wants to foster is building relationships. Facebook has their groups. And so they want the DMs of Instagram to be similar to that. You can create messaging groups within Instagram Messenger. One thing I love to do is go in and watch people's stories, especially if it's someone I don't already follow. And I will I will respond to their story, which goes into their messages. So instead of it just being like in your comments or your likes where you get a notification, this goes into their inbox, which allows you to start a conversation and really build connections. I know you've probably heard this saying, like, the power is in the DM. It really is. That is where the connections are made. That's where the relationships are built. And that's where you're going to get loyal followers who want to follow you and want to know what you're up to and want to buy from you. Think about the people that you follow where you watch their stories, you send them a message, maybe they message you back and you're like, oh my gosh, they actually messaged me back. You could be that person for somebody else. So don't be afraid to slide into those DMs and start those conversations. So those are kind of the two big changes that Instagram has made or announced in the last couple of weeks. And I personally feel like these are good changes. Especially the hashtag one I think is really nice because it takes the stress off of having to come up with 30 hashtags for every single post. And then the changes with the Instagram, what they're focusing on, to me, that's not brand new information. I knew video was a huge push when they had Reels come out. And so I think that the key here, takeaway from this, is that social media is ever evolving. You can't ever feel like, okay, I've got this mastered. I'm ready to rock it the rest of the time. You have to be flexible. You have to be willing to listen to what Instagram is telling us that they're doing if you want to play that game. If you want to play the social media game and you want to be successful at it, listen to what Instagram is telling you that they're looking at. Look at the new features they're putting out there and don't be afraid to try new things. Again, this is something that is a learn as we go process. Try it. If it works, great. If it doesn't, that's okay. Try something different or go back to something you've already done. But don't be afraid of these changes. Don't let these changes be something that you go, oh my gosh, one more thing. Oh, it's so difficult. It doesn't have to be that. I promise you, this is not something that has to be terrifying or scary or any of those things. Just roll with the punches, try something new and different. try to get on board, and you might see a lot of success with it. Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed the conversation as much as I did. And as always, you can find any links or resources mentioned in today's show down in the show notes. And if we're not friends outside the podcast yet, then what are you waiting for? Come find me on Instagram at Girl Means Business. Send me a DM letting me know what you thought of today's episode or any of the past episodes you've listened to. You can also take a screenshot of today's episode and post it to your stories, tagging at Girl Means Business, and I'll give you a shout out on my page. I love connecting with you and hearing all about your business and can't wait to get to know you more. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I will meet you back here next week, same time, same place.